What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 228, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, the man running on 4.5 hours of sleep, Kevin. And on today's episode, we're talking all about Claire Obscure Expedition 33. The Oblivion Remaster has been revealed and more. Before we get to that, gotta introduce my co-host, JamPackSam. How are you, my friend?
What's up? I am pleasantly surprised that there's another Sam on the line. I am happy to have another chair with us tonight, but I'm doing very well. It's been an exciting week, a lot of good games, a lot of good reviews, and excited to dig into it with you, gents.
Yeah, when I was writing the show, I'm like, not a lot of like news this week, but we got games to talk about. Like, that is, and then I was making the calendar for like upcoming releases because we got another release date for FBC Firebreak, and I was like, basically, it's nonstop for like next few months, and that's a great problem to have. But man, when am I going to find the time to play games?
Yeah, it's getting wild.
Well, let's introduce our guest from No Limits, a PlayStation podcast, our sister show here at Save the Game Media and IGN. Sam Heaney, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm a very tired man. I must admit, it is. I said to you just before we started recording, been a 14-hour day uploading stuff for Expedition 33. But I'll put it this way: I'm very, very excited to talk about it.
I'm excited to hear about it. I've dabbled. So I will, I'll give my current thoughts, but I'm really excited to hear more. I have been limiting the amount of coverage I've been listening to about Expedition 33, mainly because it's one of those games like I was sold last year when it was revealed. I was like, you don't need to show me anymore. We get too many trailers these days, if anything. Like games just stop showing so much. All right. Let's get into housekeeping and then we can jump right into the show. So we are Project XTalk. We are live every Thursday right here on youtube.com/Save the Game Media. If you can't catch us live, post every Friday morning on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, please drop us a review. It does help us. If you want to support us further, get early audio access to Save the Game Media content and exclusive bonus content like the crossover show we're doing this weekend. We're probably going to talk a lot about the Switch 2. Let me be honest with you. A lot of Switch 2 talk. And maybe Ghost of Yotai. I always forget how to say it, man. Yotai. Head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Todd Oxtra, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silkenit, Lee Navarro, David Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Nikolai at Night, Fabulous Brianna, and Brianna's mom. Thank you all for your support. So let's jump into the opening segment here with what you've been playing. And JamPackSam, I want to know what you've been playing this week, my friend.
Primarily, I've been playing Ninja Gaiden Black 2. So
let's go.
As you said, we're getting into the point where like it's getting wild out here, and I'm trying to fight the urge to like continually go on to the next thing. And we talked last week how Shadows is just such a big game, and I'm trying to like dabble at it here and there, but I got kind of burned out on it because I played it for a month straight. Like killer game, but like there's so much there, and I'm trying to 100% it, and it's like going to be a lot. So I'm going to go back. There's DLC on the way for that, but I wanted to dive into Ninja Gaiden. Did not like it that much. First, I would say like 2-3 chapters, like whenever you're first like kind of getting into it or levels, however they break it up, because you don't have a whole lot of like abilities and weapons and stuff. And so you're just kind of hacking and slashing. But once it opens up and you get into the flow of like, all right, his limb's cut off, I hit Y, I go over, do like a giant backflip, crack his neck, like that kind of stuff. You get into that. I know you were talking about how you liked, what you liked the big staff,
the moon
right?
staff, yeah,
the lunar staff,
the lunar staff where you're twirling it and juggling everyone. Oh man, so good.
You get that super early on. I don't know how to say it, but it's the hook and chain, like the thing that they have in Assassin's Creed Shadows as well, like Kasurigama or whatever it's called.
Close enough.
I don't know what it's actually called. But man, whenever you open that thing up and you're just like flailing around in a crowd, I popped the achievement for getting 100 hits in a combo, and I'm like, my God, this is great. So I'm really, really enjoying Ninja Gaiden Black 2 to the point that I want to go back and try Black 1. Like I want to go back and give it a shot because it's old.
It's definitely more dated as someone that's played it. Definitely Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, I think, is much more approachable, much more like it's not modern feeling, but is kind of like it's a better remaster.
Yeah, I mean the camera angle's still trash. Like there's no getting around it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just be in a tree or a wall or whatever, but it's not to the point that it's like horrendous. So I'm really enjoying my time with that. And outside of that, I have started playing Oblivion Remastered. I've gotten into where I'm just like dabbling in the opening. You know, I'm just kind of getting through the sewers and stuff, kind of breaking out of the jail. And then I've also played 3 rounds of the Marathon Alpha. I'm going to be doing more of that after we get off of here tonight and over the weekend, just because that's kind of got like the time constraint on it. So I'll spend some time in that. But
Are you're allowed to? Are you allowed to talk about?
yeah,
Marathon?
we can talk about it. They lifted the NDA. You can stream it. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm definitely not streaming it, but but I will play it. So yeah.
Obviously you've only played a few rounds, but like how's it feeling? It like, is it classic Bungie gunplay? Like how's the gameplay loop so far?
I mean, the gameplay loop is very much so. It feels like Destiny in terms of the gameplay. When you get into it, it feels very much like an extraction shooter. Like I know this is very generic stuff that I'm saying, but it's like you get in and the whole premise of the game from what I'm seeing so far is that you get in, you accept contracts from these people, you go for a run where you dive in and like you have a squad of 3, you go collect stuff and you extract. And it's like wash, rinse, and repeat with that. And if you die, you lose everything. So it's very punishing in that way, but that's kind of what it's meant to be like. So I can see it being really, really good with friends. Like I see the vision of it. I am curious how sticky it is for the people that this game is meant for. Like this isn't really designed for me, somebody that will totally do PvE and Destiny all day and just like, you know, pop some heads here and there. But I'm not going to put thousands of hours in the Marathon. I will play it. And I'll play it on release if I get a code or not. But yeah, I'm very curious what the tail on it looks like. But so far, having a good time. Gunplay feels good. Definitely take some adjustments to the controls because it's very slow, as every FPS is when you dive in. I'm playing on Xbox just for the sake of being, you know, a console guy. But definitely feels like a PC focused game, like inventory management, all of that. Like that's very PC focused from my experience so far.
Gotcha. So it sounds like I should play it on my Switch 2 with the mouse control.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So again, everything I'm hearing from you about Marathon that just confirms my decision. Probably not gonna.
You will hate it. You will absolutely hate it. There's no question about it.
Sam Heaney, I know we've briefly talked about Marathon in the Discord, but how are you feeling? Is this one you're gonna jump into?
I'm going to remain open-minded for the time being. Like extraction shooters are very much not my thing. I think it's the conceit of the genre, but the fact that at the end of every season, your entire like inventory / account gets wiped, like that to me, I know because it's PvP, they kind of have to do that. But the fact that like everything that you get, even if you successfully extract at the end of the season, is going to be gone. So everyone's on a level playing field. I don't know if I vibe with that a lot. So if there's a lot of meta progression, I think the art style is enough to draw me in. Hearing that the gunplay is good, that's exciting. But I still need a fair amount of convincing before I decide to commit anything to it.
One thing I will say as well, though, is like the art style is just as good in the game as it is in the trailers.
Hell yeah.
To the point that I have to I got to really lock in and figure out what these menus say because there's like so much going on. Like the fonts are so stylized. I'm like, what is that? Yeah, I have to like actually take time to digest it. So I'm curious if you do dive in, what your thoughts are on that, because I love the look of it. Obviously, like that's kind of like my whole aesthetic to begin. Like I love that kind of stuff. But I'm like, is it to the detriment of the actual like overall look of the experience itself?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
UI design is important. I know Silken, who's in the chat, he's a big stickler for games that don't have readable fonts. And I think like I know everyone's like, oh, Persona 5 has like really gorgeous art style for it. And I think it might have been him was telling me that like he doesn't vibe with that because it just makes things harder to read.
Yep, it's very valid. Very valid.
Yeah, he just called it out. That's my experience with any Atlas game. Yeah, I feel you. Sam Heaney, why don't we jump over to you? Obviously, not going to talk about Expedition 33 quite yet, but have you been playing anything else that you want to talk about right now?
Yeah. So I've put probably 3-4 hours into Oblivion. I immediately purchased it after the live stream. Feels pretty good. again, sort of like Sam, I'm relatively early on, maybe slightly further ahead than he is. Yeah, I think it will be a back burner thing where I'll just chip away at it. It's nothing that I'm going to like know life and commit all my time to it. I mean, I literally can't right now, but even if I could, I feel like it's something where I don't want to burn out. I kind of enjoyed getting the little bite-sized bits of nostalgia that I've gotten thus far. Is there anything else? I'm again chipping away very slowly at Blueprints.
Okay.
Which is very much up my alley, as many people will probably know, as a puzzle guy. It's phenomenal, and it just continues to get better. It very much is tickling the niche that I find myself in more often than not. Similar to Animal Well in a way of there are various sort of meta levels inside of it, and you can like roll credits or finish the game very easily and see maybe like 5 or 6% of what the game actually has to offer. I haven't rolled credits to be clear, but from the discourse that I've seen, I know that is the case, and I'm seeing little breadcrumbs. I've got like 2 notebooks here ready. I've already written about 11 pages of notes and just thoughts. Lots of numbers and letters. I've done math equations. It's getting crazy out here, but I'm loving my time with it. And I think that's it, other than, of course, Expedition 33.
Blueprints is another game that every time I hear people talk about it, I'm just like, yeah, that is not something I would enjoy. What's the puzzle game people always bring up, like the Witness?
That's what I was
Sure.
literally getting ready to ask Howard, because I remember I think about notebooks and I'm like, the Witness. Like that's where my mind immediately goes.
Yeah, I'd say in comparison to the Witness, this is far more approachable. Like a lot of, so for context, I won't fully explain it because it takes a long time, but you are filling out a grid, and you are drafting rooms. So you approach a door. When you select the door, you get to pick between 3 different rooms. Each room has a different layout. It's a different type of room. There's a different puzzle inside of it. You go in, you solve the puzzle, or you don't, and you progress forward, and you're trying to reach the other end of the mansion to this mysterious 46th room. And it's a roguelite, so you can like hit a brick wall, like full of dead ends, no doors to enter through, and you just have to keep going. And you find combinations of rooms, different things in different rooms interact with other rooms that you may or may not draft. There is like planning ahead where certain rooms allow you to take things into the next day's run. Yeah, it's that sounds very convoluted, and in a way it is, but it has a much smoother onboarding process than something like The Witness, where The Witness, as you probably know if you've tried it, you are thrown in at the deep end, and if you don't get it, you just aren't going to get it. But yeah, I think this is considerably easier for the time being. Again, however deep it goes, I don't know, but I'm not having too difficult a time right now.
Big man Sam over there. Smart. I know puzzles. Silkiness says, I want your reaction when you reach about 50 dartboards solved.
Oh yeah, I mean the dartboards, classic. You know, all the colors, multiplication.
I'm assuming you haven't got there yet.
No, I know what the dartboards are about. Whether there's something specifically that happens when you solve 50 of them, I don't know.
I'd be upset. Listen, if you're making me do a puzzle 50 times,
I'll never find out.
I would lose my mind. How are you people like, oh, this is so much fun. I can't wait to do this puzzle again tomorrow.
I think it's because, at least for the time being, every single run, whether it's luck or not, whether it's planned or not, I'm always discovering something new, finding a new room to draft, figuring out a connection between rooms. I haven't hit a wall yet where I'm having multiple days in a row where I'm just making no progress. And that could be an actual design choice that they've made, or I'm just getting lucky. But I think if I do keep hitting a brick wall, I might have a tougher time sticking with it. But I think the amount that I've seen and the amount that I know that I haven't seen yet, I think that brick wall is probably quite a far way away.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Another game that people are talking about for game of the year. So
Mhm.
IGN's got you on the good stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know if we played IGN for that one, but
I didn't. I wish I
Alright.
did. Actually, no, I don't. That'd be awful.
I'll say I'm pretty
Doing
sure.
the guides for that
pretty
sounds
sure-
god
Yeah,
awful.
I'm pretty
Bashing
sure
my head against the wall.
before the show you were telling me how you don't want to play Elden Ring Night Rain.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've had enough Elden Ring for multiple lifetimes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I will go through my games now. So I've been on quite the trophy and achievement kick the last week there, guys. So I have platinumed Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate. This is a remaster from Rocket Panda Games of a 360 beat 'em up game based on the Phantom Breaker IP, which is a fighting game I enjoy. Very simple. It's flashy. It says it supports up to 6 players online, and as I learned by playing with 6 people online to get a trophy, it most certainly does not, because it turns into a PowerPoint presentation when you have 6 players. 3 players, it's you'll lag for a few, like 30 seconds, and then it'll even out. But there's 6 players. I was like, oh god, people are gonna quit, and I'll never get this trophy because this is unplayable. But it's repetitive. There's 7 stages, and the only thing you do in the game is you go through all 7 over and over and over again. It took about 4 hours to get the platinum. It was fun, more fun with friends. Nothing too crazy. Just a good, cheap. It was like $20, so a good throwback game if you're looking for a beat 'em up style game. But the other game, which I got 100% of the achievements, is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. And I I will say that I love Like a Dragon. I do not love Pirate Yakuza. I don't know if it's the pirate aesthetic, but it got very repetitive where most things boil down to, hey, you're going to be in your ship, and then you have 2 cannons and a machine gun, and you're going to use that to take out the enemy ship. And then once they're hurt enough, you're going to have melee combat sections and fight them on the ship. And then you repeat that for good 20 to 30 hours over and over again. Or they'll put you in a dungeon section where you just run through hallways and fight enemies until you get to the boss at the end. So very repetitive. I think the story is pretty lackluster, especially coming off, I would say, 3 Like a Dragon games with phenomenal stories in 7, Infinite Wealth, and even The Man Who Erased His Own Name. They do have a great ending scene that I won't spoil here. And if anyone's curious, it says to be continued. So I think we're getting another Yakuza game, right? I think Sega's going to keep this one alive. The achievements were pretty easy though. Really just doing a mixed variety of things throughout that, like playing the mini games, which there's some fun mini games in here. There's one that's like a batting cage, but you hit the balls at exploding barrels, and you just see how many barrels you can blow up all the time. So there are some fun mini games in here. There's some silly mini games. I didn't really connect with the side stories in this one, but overall, fun time. I'm glad it's over because now I can play Expedition 33, which is what I've really been waiting for all year.
Oh yeah, you've been pumped about that. I just imagine somebody that's never heard of Yakuza or like even the pirate thing, and you're describing this game, and you're like, yeah, you shoot baseballs, exploding barrels, and then you've got like machine guns on your ship, and yeah, they're making another one, and I'm all over the place. So yeah, wild one.
I don't know where the other Sam went, but there he is. I will say that's not even the weirdest mini game. Is called Sicko Snap, and it's basically Pokemon Snap. But instead of taking pictures of Pokemon, you're taking pictures of muscular men in underwear as they
game of the year
as they hide around the city. So like you'll be on a trolley and it'll be going around the streets, and they'll just like pop out of windows. They'll be dangling from stuff, and you just have to take pictures of them, and then you get points, and that's the mini game.
You have fun with that. I'm glad you 100%ed that. I'm really proud of you.
This is a storied franchise. Millions of people love this. Yeah, no, that's not my favorite. That's not my favorite mini game for sure. But overall, fun game. Just glad it's over. So why don't we jump into the main topic of the show, though, and something that I have played a little bit. So I'll give my current thoughts, and then I'm going to pass it over to Sam here. who has platinumed Expedition 33.
To be clear, not me.
Not you.
Not me.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll
Not
see.
yet. I'm gonna play it, but I probably won't platinum it.
We'll see if we can get you. So story number 1, Expedition 33 is out. Silly title. If you say the full thing, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I will say, Sam, I was a little surprised that they were singing Claire Obscure like in the start of the game, and I was like, oh, okay, you really are getting this point. I don't know what you're saying because it's in French, but I can pick out you're saying the name of the game or whatever. But
yeah,
apparently it's a really good game. Reviews dropped yesterday, and at the time of this recording, the game has thrown itself right into the Game of the Year conversation, currently sitting at a 92 on both OpenCritic and Metacritic. Expedition 33 is currently the highest rated game of the year, with the majority of reviewers praising not only the graphical fidelity, but the evolution of turn-based combat, combined with an engrossing narrative. So I'll let you touch more on the details, but I have played about an hour and a half, if I'm being generous, maybe an hour 15, somewhere in between there. And so far, I am really impressed with what I'm playing. From a narrative standpoint, this game draws you in almost immediately to what's going on. And I think that might have a lot to do with the fact that Charlie Cox is immediately the first voice you hear. And I'm like, oh, it's Daredevil. I was just watching Daredevil. And then you have a very, no spoilers, but like emotional beats start happening right off the bat. And you get kind of the lore of the world kind of ingrained to you, but it's not like exposition. It's like you're talking to people, and you just get the vibe of what's going on in this town, in this setting, what's happened over the last 100 years, right? So I think they set it up really well. And then that was the prologue. I go into Act 1 and immediately subverts my expectations about what's going to happen here. Throws me for a loop. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I thought was going to happen next. Now I'm in more of probably the tutorial stage, or getting out of the tutorial stage, where I'm running around the world, fighting some battles. The last thing I did was I was running around with it's me, Gustav, and another character who I won't spoil. And they say, oh, that enemy looks dangerous. And I go, yeah, well, I'm dangerous too. And then I picked a fight with this person. And I should not have done that, because they proceeded to one-shot my party after I missed one parry. And I was like, oh boy, this is it's going to have one of these. There's dangerous foes in certain areas, right? So that's a JRPG staple. I'm cool with that. I'm going to go back in and beat him. Like, now that I know, all right, I'm going to parry, I'm a dodge, but I will say right off the bat, I think the combat is the standout for me so far. The fact that it really adds, like, it almost doesn't feel turn-based at times, because I'm sitting, like, I'm doing the shrimp in my chair, like preparing to parry, like they're charging up their attack, and I'm like, is this a single hit combo? Is it a 2-hit combo? Like, how many times am I gonna have to hit the parry button, right? Because I keep forgetting there's a dodge button, and I'm just like, oh, I gotta parry everything, and it's getting me into trouble. But it feels really satisfying, combining the elements and weaknesses and things you can do with the skills. Really satisfying so far. And probably one of the things I love the most, and this is introduced really early on, is those pictos, I think they're called, where you get these little charms and you put them in equipment slots, and then you win 4 battles. And after you win 4 battles, the effect of that charm is now permanent to your party, which is awesome, because then you can switch them out in and out and not have to worry about like, oh, I just had one that improves my dodge, so now I won 4, my party's better at dodging now. Like, that is an awesome feature that not enough RPGs use. So I'm really glad to see, like, this is kind of taking the best of all the genre has to offer and throwing them together so far. So I am really high on it, my first hour and a half.
Awesome.
But you've played a lot more, so I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, it's trash.
I was actually initially thinking of coming in and doing a bit of a bit, but yeah, there's no real need to beat around the bush. I think what you said, Kev, is like hitting the nail on the head. But I take it a step further, and I know that a lot of the reviews have said this, so I don't want to ape them, but I do sincerely think this is one of the most impressive games I've seen in a very, very, very long time. I think every aspect of it is astounding. The one bit of contextual information I'd provide, which is I think very important to the conversation, is that I am neither a JRPG or a turn-based guy. I do not like either of those genres. I have actively avoided them in the past. I have only played a handful of JRPGs or turn-based combat games, and most of them I come out of at most saying, "Yeah, it was good. You know, it was all right." And here I am proclaiming this to be, I don't want to get hyperbolic, and I will, clarify I'm very much in the midst of it right now and have been for a number of weeks. But I do think that once I emerge out the other side of this, I will probably think this is one of the best games I've ever played.
Damn. Wow. Okay.
And again, I know that that is a sentiment that some people online have said, and like I don't want to oversell the game because that's the last thing I'd want to do. But I also don't know if it's possible to oversell this game. You point to any single element of the game, whether it is combat, whether it is story, whether it is visual presentation, aesthetic, voice acting, enemy design. I think music, obviously, that should go without saying. And something that hasn't been shown in trailers a lot, and I won't really spoil the context of, this game is very, very funny. It has a lot of humor in it.
I didn't get that from the first hour and a half. So.
I know. Trust me. I know where you're at. But it comes, and it's not corny. It's not cheesy. It is just genuine humor. And it is persistent throughout a lot of the game. And that's hard to pull off. I mean, it's hard to pull any of this off. But yeah, the fact that this is a debut game from a studio of about 30 developers, I truly do not know how they pulled this off. It is remarkable, truly.
Wow. High praise. Yeah. What I've heard people say is that the 30 developers are ex-Ubisoft staff too. So this isn't really like in their wheelhouse even. So to see them come in here and kind of knock it out the park, which nobody's saying it's a perfect game, I don't think. No. Like I clearly, like, there are better looking games on this generation for sure. And even the feel, I would say, like moving around, I'm like, oh, this is a AA game. Like movement, I can tell, like, oh, they put their money budget, what they actually cared about, into the combat, into the story, into the music, into the lighting in this game. Especially some of the shots when I'm running through these fields, I'm like, this is gorgeous.
Yep, agreed.
So JamPackSam, you're not a turn-based guy. Have you seen the reviews, listening to me, other Sam here talk about it? How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I made a video on the reviews. I always do the review roundup videos just to like, and admittedly, like, as somebody that can get some traction, I'm like, all right, I don't want to talk about Oblivion all week, right? Like, it's not the only thing that came out this week. Bethesda doesn't need any kind of attention to get what they need. So I wanted to cover some Claire, and I'm calling it Claire because that's where I'm at. I'm not calling it Expedition 33. It's Claire.
Trendsetter.
I know. No, I'm super into this. And again, I haven't tried it, but I'm into the idea of trying it. Like, I'm ready to give it a shot. And I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but to your point, like, the reviews are great. I mean, when you tell me it's the highest rated game of the year, that's crazy. Looks gorgeous. I love the whole vibe around the entire game. And again, the fact that it's a debut game from a studio that's been able to hit this quality where, I mean, I didn't know anything about the devs themselves, but if they come from Ubisoft, it's like you look at how many hundreds of people, and again, not to like throw stones at another team, but like Star Wars Outlaws, and then you've got like this team that's doing something considerably smaller but also better. That's, you know, something that's crazy to see. So I've absolutely got to dive in and give it a shot, even if I'm not also typically the turn-based guy or the JRPG guy. Like I've played maybe an hour of Persona in my life, but like I'm totally down to give this a shot because it's something that I like the art style. It's kind of where I would normally place my attention, and it's something new for me. So this is also a really good example of why I always love having Game Pass. Like I'm never going to get rid of it, just because off the bat, even with these reviews, would I pay $70 for this as somebody who might be on the fence about it, just in terms of what I normally look for with gameplay? Probably not. But the fact that I can dive in, give it a shot, potentially fall in love with it. I mean, that's what happened with me in like all of the entire Souls genre, where I just tried Wolong and then went down a rabbit hole. So this could be the thing that kicks me off on that tangent. And that's something that's really neat. So yeah, totally.
Luckily for people that don't have Game Pass, it's $50. So they've even priced it as a AA style game, and you can get it if you're on PC for cheaper. I know Game Bullet was selling it for $35 earlier. So like you can get this game pretty cheap, and for a Game of the Year contender, like that's a phenomenal deal, I think.
For sure.
As someone who has beaten it and seen all of it, it is, without going into spoilers, far more content rich than you might think. I think that, you know, you saying Star Wars Outlaws, Sam, not saying that it is as big in scope as that, but like the amount of things that you can do, the places you can visit, the things you can see, I think it is rivaling some AAA games in terms of the scope, which Kev, you haven't quite reached, but it will open up soon.
Yeah.
And it's very, very rare, almost never. I didn't even pay for the game, you know, I got a code. But charging 50 for this feels like daylight robbery. Like this is beating $70 games in terms of quality and content. And I would say, you know, I'm not a Game Pass expert, but I would say that this is probably the best day one Game Pass game that they've ever had.
Wow.
I'm not fully versed on every single day one game, but I can't think of a game that is better than this. That's going straight into the service.
Is right that Power World is there.
Sorry.
I was gonna go with a Plague Tale Requiem personally.
Redfall is there. It's
Oh,
right there.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry.
I retract my comment. I'm
sorry. Alpaca Tom in the chat says, compare it to Like a Dragon. I hate turn-based games. I grew up with the original Final Fantasy, but I cannot for the life of me play the genre anymore. Like a Dragon is the only one. So I don't, Sam, you haven't played Like a Dragon, I don't think, have you?
I mean, I know how the combat works there.
Okay.
Though, so.
This is much more involved. This is much more action-y. You have to be paying more attention, actually, not just like, because in a lot of turn-based games, you can just get away with like spamming a button, right? Like that doesn't seem to fly here. I get the feeling that is not going to be, I don't really feel like focusing right now. I'm just going to smash the A button and get through this battle. At least currently, I don't know how like builds and everything, but we'll see. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every attack in the game that you can perform has a form of QTE attached to it. And that has like alarm bells and like negative connotations for some people. I would dissuade you of a notion to think that that is a negative here. You're sort of selecting an attack from, like an ATB in Final Fantasy or whatever, and you then have to rhythmically time the QTE to maximize the damage or perfect parry or dodge or whatever. And like you said, Kev, that just makes it far more involved to the point where it doesn't feel like a turn-based game at times, even though it very much is.
Yeah, I got the 100% in Peppa Pig calling out the chat. Come at me, Luke. It's like an hour. It's genuinely like it takes like an hour. Bro.
I mean, you don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to acknowledge what's in the chat.
An hour too long, Kev. An hour too long.
Yeah, it was horrible, horrible game. I will fully admit that. Yeah. So we have some questions about Expedition 33. Ghostly Guides wrote in, says, how was the platinum? Is it hard to get? And then also says the main criticisms I've seen of the game are lack of a map and a lack of a battle restart / retry feature. Does Sam think those are needed?
The Platinum, pretty happy to report that outside of one trophy, and it could have been bugged pre-release. It did get a day zero patch, which I'm not sure if it solved anything. Everything is non-missable. You can do it in one playthrough. You can just clean up in the end game. There are very clear delineations of like, this is the point of no return. So you can just sweep the world map after that and do whatever you want. That's fine. That's how I did it. In terms of the features, he said a battle restart and
a retry feature and a lack of a map.
Yeah. I understand that like region map thing, you've got a world map, but when you go into like the zones of the world map, you don't have a local map, I guess is the best way to describe it. I understand that, but realistically, this is going to sound like a negative. There isn't actually that much to find inside the zones, and they're relatively linear. You can split off into different directions and you'll find things or, optional encounters or whatever. But really, they're always funneling through you down a main path. So I don't know how useful a local map would be in most of the zones. Anyway, there are a couple that maybe I could understand, but not really worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze in that department. And then the battle restart, retry.
Just get good, you won't need it.
Yeah, that's also feeding off of, I guess, things like Metaphor, right? Recently, this is far less punishing compared to something like Metaphor. Metaphor, you're having to manage your MP and you are really punished if you run out of MP. You basically can't do anything. You're not under a time limit like you are in Metaphor. So you aren't really feeling pressured in fights to get everything right first time. You aren't having to juggle MP. There's nothing that persists across battles except your health. And you can replenish all of your health and mana potions or whatever at the rest points. So I don't think you need a battle retry. It would be technically more efficient, I guess. But even if you fail in a fight, you are put essentially directly before you started that fight.
Yeah.
So you can jump straight back in.
When I just lost that dangerous foe, I was like, oh, where's it gonna start me? And it was literally like, oh, they're down the hill. I'm up here now. So
yeah. So I guess those are minor complaints for like player comfort and ease of use, but really I think they're negligible.
All right. I don't have anything else to say right now. I'm sure I will be talking about Expedition 33 for at least another week or two, because I'm going hard on it. So we can move on unless you have any more comments you want to make.
No, I mean, I would just implore everybody to at least give it a go, especially if you have Game Pass. I posted on socials that this was like a watershed moment for me in making me love a game in a genre that I kind of actively hate most of the time. And that in and of itself is an accomplishment. But this is also, I think, a watershed moment, hopefully, fingers crossed for the industry, that there is this team that is rivaling AAA games with realistically, half the budget at best. And it is doing new, innovative, exciting, risky, boundary pushing things. And it's being received like this. I just hope that it connects with audiences and that people give it a chance, because if we don't champion this game, I don't know what game we do champion to try and get the AAA people to listen and make more games like this.
Yes, Square Enix.
Amen.
I think they make pretty mediocre games these days, unfortunately. And the good ones, they just put out to die. So R.I.P. Diofield Chronicle. I'm the only one that knows you.
Didn't even know what is that.
What is that game?
It's like a real-time strategy, except you only get like four units, and okay, whatever.
Okay.
All right, well, let's jump into our second story, because the other big game that was released this week, the Oblivion Remaster. So Monday, Bethesda announced they would officially unveil Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered on Tuesday, and did they ever? As it turns out, the game is basically a remake, and here are some details you might want to know before jumping in. This game is rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 on top of the old Oblivion engine, has an updated leveling system with some elements from Skyrim brought in. They added a sprint feature and updated the movement system. It has a whole new UI and updated audio, updated combat animations and gore effects. They recorded new lines of dialogue. Each race now sounds unique and includes all the DLC expansions, including that horse armor, and is available now for PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox, and it's on Xbox Game Pass. So, JamPackSam, you've been making videos about this. I've seen the shorts. You've played it a little bit. Oblivion Remaster. What's going on? I think they should call it a remake, personally.
Yeah, it's kicked off a really big a big debate, and I saw I can't remember who put it out. It might have been Destin who put out a poll where he was like, "Wait, is it a remaster or a remake?" And people were overwhelmingly like 66, 67% choosing remake. And people called me out in the comments where I'm like, "This is the best remake," or "This is how you do a remake," and everybody's like, "It's actually a remaster." There's so much done here, dude. I'm throwing in. It's in my personal remake pile, to the point that it's like Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. That is a remaster where it's like it's the same game. It just looks a little bit prettier. This is like you've done a lot here. So for me, I would call it a remake, even though they call it a remaster. Plays really well, runs great on my PC, albeit I have a new PC, so don't take that as like representative of the general audience. But I'm excited to spend more time with it. It's been fun seeing the excitement in the community. And it's also taught me that hate towards Bethesda is fleeting, because as soon as they put out another game and it's good, everybody's going, which I know it's virtuous and like, it's not technically the Bethesda team, but still a Bethesda game. Now everybody's praising Todd Howard. We're just going to pretend Starfield didn't exist in the online vitriol community, whatever. But hey, I love some joy, so I'm glad people are enjoying it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm seeing it, and it's abundantly clear when you see the old game and the new game, like the textures and like the character models. I'm like, this looks like a brand new game. And I understand like the combat still feels kind of like the old combat, right? Like there's still those things that hold it back from being a true modern day video game. But for all intents and purposes, like if they rebuild the game, that's a remake to me. And I'm very much of the camp of a remaster is a resolution bump. If they were like, hey, it's just as 4K now, I'd be like, that's a remaster. But this has so much work put into it that I can't understand how it's not a remake, and a damn good one at that. That I'm like, oh man, Expedition 33. I'm still finishing Yakuza. Like, I wanted to play this. I want to play this, but I just don't have the time right now. So like I added it to my Xbox, downloaded it, put in like the backlog category. I'm like, I will get to you, I promise, because it looks so good.
Yeah. And to your point though about like the naming, I mean, they have Skyrim Remastered, like that's the name, the nomenclature they've chosen. So I think that's probably just like we want you to know that this is the kind of experience you can equate it to. So that's kind of where I think they probably went with.
And you never played Oblivion, right?
Me, no, I had never played Oblivion. I made a video today where I was like giving back my friend's copy that he let me borrow.
Yeah. You told me about last week.
That's legitimately like I have my friend's copy from 7th grade that he lent me, the Game of the Year edition, and I hit him up every year and I'm like, "Do you want this back?" And he's like, "Nah, hang on to it." So I have it on my shelf. It's over there, but I have not played it to the depth that I could say that I've really played it.
Sam Heaney, you've played it.
Yes. Yes. I think in terms of like the nomenclature, like maybe there is something where they don't feel comfortable calling it a remake because it's technically still using like, is it Gamebryo or is it the Creation Engine? It's one of the two. It's still using the base Oblivion engine. I think what they said in the live stream was that
Gamebryo.
It's using Gamebryo as the brain.
Horrible name.
And Unreal Engine is the body, right? I think if it was like a full-on just in Unreal Engine thing, maybe they would call it a remake. But because at its core it is still functioning like Oblivion did 20 years ago, that's maybe why they stuck with Remastered, or maybe it's just because in 10, 15 years time they'll actually do a remake, and then they can sell it to you again on your fridge or whatever they're doing with Skyrim nowadays.
A remaster remake.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
In 15 years, we're getting Fallout 5.
I mean, in 15 years, we're getting Elder Scrolls 6. So,
yeah, they're pulling from The Last of Us. They're just going to re-release, remaster, all that. Yeah, no.
Oh, he gone. UK internet, everyone. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna
unfortunate.
do? Yeah, unfortunately, he's in the middle, son. He's back. That
I'm
UK
back.
internet, yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I think it's living up to my expectations thus far. Walking through the sewers at the beginning of the game, I used a fire spell on a rat, and it just started bouncing off the walls. And I was like, classic Bethesda. We're back. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to dive in. Like I say, I'm sort of gonna just chip away at it rather than sort of fully plunge in. But yeah, I think that it's talking about Claire Obscure maybe being the best Game Pass get. I think that this might be one of the best shadow drops of all time.
I'm thinking about the shadow drops that we've had. Like, we've had Hi-Fi Rush, we've had Ninja Gaiden Black 2, and we've had or Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, I should say. And then we've had Oblivion. So I think out of those three, right, probably the biggest one. And I think Steam, I know I don't like to go to Steam charts to make a point, but it was at like 130,000 concurrent or something, like instantly. Like it's clearly a big deal. It's funny that everyone hates on Bethesda until they're like, oh my God, let's all go back to Oblivion, the 20-something-year-old game. Like, no, now you like it. Now everyone's happy. All right. So Starfield's good. All right. You guys, a bunch of haters. Okay. All right, Sam. We don't need
it's decent. Yeah. I mean, one thing I do want to call out though, and I don't know. So I get on Facebook occasionally to like I get on Facebook occasionally just to check, see what's going on with grandma, and so I'll be scrolling through the feed, and it's like I get the worst, like most like Asmongold level vitriolic takes in the gaming community. And I saw people comparing the Steam player count of Avowed to the Steam player count of Oblivion. And you see all the the reactions and the comments, and everybody's like shitting all over Avowed. That is a new IP compared to Oblivion. You cannot put these side by side. So if anybody's thinking about these things, like, yes, player counts are definitely something that's part of the conversation, but like you can't take the thing that put Bethesda on like the mainstream map for a lot of people and put it up against a brand new thing from Obsidian that's new and different. I don't know. Just wanted to throw that in there as a mention from the crowd.
Yeah.
And Avowed is very Elder Scrolls coded, right? Like it's inspired. It's not. I think Elder Scrolls is a much better RPG at the end of the day, because actual choice and consequence and stuff like that. But I thought you were going a different direction with that. I thought you were going to bring up how it was labeled non-binary because it has type 1 and type 2 body types.
Good old grams.
I was like, oh, it's gotten to Facebook now. Like grandmas are seeing this nonsense. But,
that's the beauty of not being on Twitter is I don't know what that idiot's doing. I don't care. No, whatever.
Can we all just can people stop screenshotting it and then putting it on Blue Sky so I still have to see the stupid, like, I don't want to see it at all. All right. I just want to live in a world where it doesn't exist.
The first year of Threads was just Elon Musk screenshots. So, I mean, welcome to my life over here on the Threads universe, which is threads.com now. That's neither here nor there, but used to be .net. Yeah. So I don't, I left for a reason. I don't need it over here. I understand.
My Threads switched off dark mode and it burned my eyes when I went to it. Horrible.
Put it back.
Why I will, but why do they even make websites not dark mode? All right, everyone.
It's valid.
Just dark mode. Okay?
The one thing I will say, and I don't mean to be facetious, like with how graphically impressive on the whole Oblivion Remastered is, I am a slight bit concerned about Elder Scrolls 6, because that is most certainly not going to be made in Unreal Engine 5. It's going to be in Creation Engine. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for them to shift out of Creation Engine as you know, as much as it's important to the modding community and all of that. I think it's clearly showing its age. So like, are we going to be in a world where Elder Scrolls 6 actually doesn't look as graphically impressive as Oblivion Remastered? I think that's a possibility. And I don't know how that's going to land with people, either in the fan base or not. Time will tell, because we haven't seen anything from Elder Scrolls 6. I'm just sort of throwing that out there of, it will be interesting now that we've got this new thing in a new engine. And we've waited so long for Elder Scrolls 6. If it isn't living up to this graphically, which it might not, I'm concerned about reception.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I kind of put that in the same camp as like Halo switching over to Unreal Engine.
Exactly.
Where it's like for so long, I mean, Halo Infinite, it's like a 98 Camry that you've replaced everything on. And it's like, you know, you've totally basically rebuilt this car to the point that it's a modern AAA FPS. But at the end of the day, at the core, it's 98 Camry. So it's got that same feel you knew in high school, but now you're 35. So like we gotta modernize it a little bit. So I mean, if anything, I would hope the reaction to Halo switching over to Unreal Engine would encourage Bethesda to be like, okay, we should explore this. The other question is like, could they build the bones in Creation Engine and then put that coat of makeup on like Unreal Engine 5?
Thinking that, like, is that something we're now able to do where we can take proprietary engines and then just put them into Unreal?
And then my question is, like, in the future, when it comes to game preservation, does that make it doubly as hard to keep it up to date and like functional? Because then you've got the thing that like is the bones and the thing that is the looks. And so if you port it to that PlayStation 6 or whatever, and then all of a sudden it works well, but then it's running at 20 FPS because Unreal Engine 5 doesn't work right, or like something like that. That could be another issue from the novice armchair expert POV.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about how they could do that. I still, if I had to put money on it, I think Bethesda's still gonna do Creation Engine 2.
Oh yeah,
because they just built that for Starfield. I think they want at least another game out of it before they, you know, sunset that. So in 10 years, we'll see what Elder Scrolls 6 looks like. Listen, man. I saw a meme and it was like, guys, they revealed this years ago, and it was Todd Howard with the Elder Scrolls 6 thing. They're like, oh, he just messed up the Roman numeral.
Flipped it around.
You made a mistake. Like, oh yeah, all right. Well, that is Oblivion. So I'm looking forward to playing that. You guys, obviously, I'm excited to hear more about it as you continue your journeys. We have one question to end the show, and it's directly at JamPackSam.
Okay.
It comes from Chipotle Bear, our friend over at the Nerd Chat. Says, Sam, in one of the Discord chats, says, you see the vision of Marathon. Do you think it has the lasting power that Sony Bungie is hoping for? In other words, do you think it can compete with Call of Duty, Fortnite as a mainstay in the multiplayer genre?
No. Just straight up, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to be the next Call of Duty Battlefield big thing. I don't even know where I would place this. I think that for me, I always look at the first match is like, you know, it's like giving a kid one bite of food. He's going to know if he's going to keep eating it. Right. And so like me diving into the first match, I hit friction to the point that like I knew I needed to push through it to see what the experience was going to be. So many people are not going to push through that friction, and they're just going to refund the game and keep on going with their life. I think that's going to be the challenge. And the question of the longevity comes down to what that hardcore community does with Marathon. Like the people that are constantly playing Tarkov or that are interested in the squad-based shooters that might be on Apex looking for something different. It's going to come down to those people. And why should they go over to Marathon when they've got their game? I think that's where I'm at with it. And the answer could be the aesthetic. It's a little bit more novice compared to Tarkov if you're looking for something that's not quite as sweaty, but that has stuff like the wipes, that has stuff like all of these elements that make it an extraction shooter. But I think that even just inherently as a game, you know, to compare it to Call of Duty, I can pick up and play Call of Duty 24/7, just me, go free for all, die, have a good time. This really requires, like, you need to get a squad together. In the Discord, they've got like looking for group stuff. Obviously, Xbox has looking for group capabilities, but it's definitely designed for that group. So it's automatically catering to a smaller audience. And I think that's going to kind of stunt it in the long run, unless they were to pivot and make something where it's like, it's got the equivalent of a Destiny Crucible. I would totally be down to play that. But I don't think that's the vision they've got, which is fine, because not every game needs to be built for me. You know, if they can deliver on something that they want to make, then it could be successful. But I think it's going to have an uphill battle. I do.
I really hope they learn lessons, and I'm going to say, you know, the word we shouldn't say, from Concord, and I know they're having betas, right? But like, we saw when they were like, hey, if you're a PS Plus member, right, you can play Concord's beta, and then nobody, or no, it was pre-orders initially. If you pre-order Concord, you can play the beta, and then nobody pre-ordered the game. They're like, hey, if you got PS Plus, you can come play. All right, we need some people to play this game. I really hope that they just like, hey, it's a big open beta, come play it. I am still not opposed to, like, and I don't know what the model or how much this game costs, but like, is launching it into PS Plus or like a Game Pass, like, is that something that would potentially help it bring in a lot of players at launch and maybe retain some of those, instead of people that are going to be put off by the $40 if that's the price point, right? Like, because there are going to be people that see it and say, well, that should be free to play. Maybe give them the option to jump in with a subscription service and then retain them and keep them for the live service elements.
Yeah, potentially so. I mean, I think there's a couple of things there. To Alpaca Tom's comment in the chat, there's a reason Bungie lifted the anti-streaming for it. They believe in it. I think that was just so it looked like they did not believe in it. Like, that's the way that I read that, is that it's not that they believe in it. They just don't want to look like, hey, this isn't done yet, but we need people to test it. Like, I think they wanted to avoid that narrative. For me, it's like, you know, you have the Game Pass narrative, which I think is being beaten in real time this week. But it's like, if a game launches into PlayStation Plus, for example, sometimes that gives a negative connotation of like, oh, this is just shovelware. They're putting it out on the service. They're going to get this out and let it roll. But then you've got something like FBC Firebreak that clearly knows that they need to have an audience, because that's how this game keeps going, is you get people in the door to play it, and you put it on Game Pass, you put it on PlayStation Plus, get those deals signed, and you can make some money while also growing your base. I'm curious if like Bungie feels that they have the pedigree to where they can ask for money, or if Sony is like, hey, this worked for Helldivers, you need to charge $40 or $50 because they need money at the end of the day. But then you look at Concord and it's like, well, cost of entry there and the negative press around it created a real kind of shit show. So no one really bought it anyway. So a lot of elements there. I don't have the answer. That's just my observations of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they can kind of, I don't know if they will, they probably won't. They can find a very easy middle ground. And I think FBC Firebreak, as much as I think that game's broad appeal is probably far more limited than something like Marathon.
It's for you and me. That's
exactly, of course. We'll be the two playing it, and we'll be playing it forever. Like, they are launching it, as JamPackSam was saying, into Game Pass, PS Plus day one, but you can also buy it for $40. And I think that there's a happy medium there where you can say you can buy this for $40, or you can subscribe to our respective subscription services, which is net income in a way, regardless. And you get to play it day one for free, included in the service. I think that is the smartest move. But knowing Sony, I'm not confident in that. I would also say, like, it's not just about it finding an audience. It's about Sony having the stones to stick with it. Because even something like Destiny launched really rough.
I was there.
And
Midnight.
lacked a lot of content. And, you know, it was sort of, people saw the vision, as Sam was saying, but it wasn't there yet. And, you know, me and you, Kev, we saw the vision for Concord. But they pulled that ripcord real fast,
just like the Dreamcast ahead of its time.
Maybe. So I hope that even if Marathon has a bit of a rocky launch, regardless of how they launch it, what models they use, that Sony is willing to give Bungie the runway, because we've seen them, you know, pull the plane out of the nosedive multiple times now with Destiny 1 and 2. So I have faith that they could probably do the same with Marathon, but they need that runway. And we'll see if they are given it.
I think my concern is that, like, with Destiny, I agree, because I went to the midnight release for Destiny. I was there at GameStop rocking it. Still got the footage I recorded. That was like one of the earliest things. I didn't record it,
but I have.
It's so much fun to look back on that stuff. But with Destiny, it's like you've got this sandbox where you can do whatever you want, and like you can tell your stories. You can take the narrative in whatever direction you want. I see the vision in Marathon. I feel like in the first 3 matches, I've seen the whole vision. Like I know what this game's always going to be, and you can switch it up. You can change the color palette of different worlds and maps all you want. I know what this game is. So if they can expand that, I think that's where the potential is, in the same way they did with Destiny. And they've did, like you said, they've done it before, but I'm curious if that's what they want to do. I don't know what they want for this game long term. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I wonder if Bungie thinks they're too good for like subscription services, like they deserve,
I mean, Destiny 2 is free now, so
exactly.
That's true. That's damn. I paid for that game.
Didn't we all? Didn't we all? I think I bought it multiple times, actually.
You know what I saw, and then we'll wrap the show up, is someone in Halo Infinite's Forge mode is making Marathon.
I did see that. Yeah. And I would probably rather play that, quite honestly.
Damn.
I mean, it's Halo. I like the TDM. I like I like that King of the Hill and all that. I need Jeff Seitz are yelling at me in this aesthetic. That would be great. I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be dope. All right. Well, that will do it for the show today. Sam Heaney, thank you for joining us. Can you let everyone know where they can find you, my friend?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, Heaney.
All right, everyone go follow him. Check out No Limits, a PlayStation podcast, our sister show. His guide work over at IGN as well. JamPackSam, where can they find you?
Oh, yeah, JamPackSam.com. All my social links are there, all my stuff. You can go find me. I've got some cool stuff coming. A couple of different reviews, some unboxings, that kind of thing as well. And yeah, we're going to be switching it up. So I've got some big things in the works.
Awesome. And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's a 17I, O and 7A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky. Stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week, we'll